feel? How was your journey when you moved to Sweden?
First time was when I was 15 years old. I moved from Tashkent.
Because I feel that's something really going to help the newcomers.
Recruitment and business psychology.
What do you feel right now? Like you feel you made the best decision?
New technology. I don't know. Some people, they don't want to go outside their comfort zone.
What advice would you like to give to newcomers?
Like Swedish language. Actually, I haven't met any people who regret.
Good English-speaking society. So here we have a good ratio of people who understand English. What do you want to say, or what is your own motivation of every day of performing best in your life?
Your career and to start from the beginning, because this is more like adding new competence.
One needs to keep on evolving, and you really talked a very nice point here mentioning from your own story.
Valuable to to start study again.
Every experience or every learning during the whole process is actually contributing to what you are doing today. Life is a journey, sometimes exciting, sometimes challenging. Welcome to All About You and For You, the podcast where we dive deep into real stories, people, culture, and spark conversations that truly matters. I'm Neha, the corporate professional turned storyteller. I'm the host for the podcast, and today I have with me Maria Helson, one of the inspiring and a thought-provoking conversation that I'm looking forward with Maria today. Welcome, Maria. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Neha, for inviting me. I'm excited to be here.
So, Maria, if I start with the time when you moved to Sweden, and I think you have already lived here for like 16 long years. How do you feel? How was your journey when you moved to Sweden?
Yeah, interesting question. Yeah, I moved here from Moscow.
Mhm.
It was a love story. I was a student, and I met a Swedish student who was studying Russian in Moscow. And first he moved to Russia, to Moscow, and lived 5 years with me. And then it was my turn to move to his country. So this was the way I came here. But it was not the first time I changed country and the culture. First time was when I was 15 years old. I moved from Tashkent, Uzbekistan, to Moscow.
Okay.
And it was also some kind of cultural change. In spite of I was living in a Russian-speaking community, it was a Muslim country with a culture from Middle East and Asia. Very interesting country, and it was the first time I moved, and Sweden was the second time I moved to a new culture. So I think for me it was like, okay, interesting. Let's see what is different here.
How do you feel when you think about your time and comparing it with today's time?
I think when I came, it was probably a little bit less international, but still, because we live in Stockholm, I feel like it's a very international city. And of course, with big organizations like Ericsson, H&M, and others, we had already then, 2008, a lot of internationals. And I remember the time I started working at Stockholm University with the international project. So I felt like I'm a part of an international community. And I think with the new technologies, Klarna, Spotify, we have even more internationals here in Sweden.
And since you have picked up a point which was about, the international organization, so that's really interesting to bring this up, because I feel that's something really going to help the newcomers when they get to know about such and so organizations that are helping people to get into the job market, to understand culture, you know, to give a sense of belonging of living in Sweden. So, talking about the organization that you have worked back then, I think Kortavägen, if I remember correctly. So how was your experience of working with organization which helps like people who have traveled abroad, either with their partners or they have moved to Sweden, like, as a student? So, what do you think was the role of such organizations in getting people accommodated to the new surroundings?
Yeah, I start with that my professional first profession was within recruitment and business
Mm.
psychology. And when I moved to Sweden, I worked as a recruiter for a while. And then I saw that possibility to work at Stockholm University with such a project as Korta Vägen, short way, into Swedish labor market. And it was a project about short way into Swedish labor market for high educated people. So to mm, simplify the idea of that project is that employment agency came to universities in Sweden and asked them to help with providing better, like smooth start their careers in Sweden. And yeah, even people with masters and PhD need some time, little bit push and help and guidance to the labor market. So that's how we started the program. And that program was quite successful. At the beginning, it was probably 30 participants, and at the end, we have 200 or more each year. So I think the role of that initiative was very important. Mm, I started there 2012 and worked 8 years with this project. At the beginning, we had to call organizations ourselves and telling them that we have a great talents from different countries who are interested in having internship and working in their organizations. And then like, oh, wow, interesting. At the end of these 8 years, we had many companies who were calling us
Mm.
for asking if we have an interesting competence and talents for them. So I think that during that time, together with other initiatives, we created a kind of ecosystem within diversity and inclusion. And many of these organizations are still working and presenting. Unfortunately, Kortavägen is closed at Stockholm University, but you can find it at other organizations like Folk University
Mm.
and Academicum. They deliver that program. And if you ask me about that ecosystem, um, where newcomers can come and get some help, so we have a lot of other initiatives which are super good. And one of them is Jobbsprånget. Another is Mitt Liv. It's a mentorship program. Um, Another one is
Mm.
Yrkesdörren.
Mm.
It's a part of big initiative Öppna dörren,
Mm.
which has even more possibilities for people, not only professionally, but another way, like Swedish with babies, meet and
Mm.
discuss and network.
Mm.
So I want to recommend newcomers who want to find jobs and new life here in Sweden to communicate more with locals.
So I really feel these organizations play a great role when it comes to helping people who move to Sweden. So there is a big group of expats community which is already living in Sweden.
Yeah. And also, one more advice could be to start your own company. because I think when you just come from some other country, you still have fresh contacts there. And um, as Sweden is a smaller market, you can try your idea or your product outside in another country. And for example, Asian countries are very common for Swedish startups to um, digital in software development.
What is your take when it comes to AI as a future?
Yeah, we'll give you some answers and ideas. So there are so much about AI. So that's probably that's why, and it's so abstract. So that's why I decided not to work with AI because while it's abstract, it's I want to work with something more concrete, and that's why I went into digital in software development. And software development is more concrete. Software development can have AI as a part, and I believe that AI will not like, yes, it will change our way of working, but it will not change people on their places. It will just add some more work, actually. Sometimes it will bring us more resources, and some work will be done faster, but sometimes it will be just more work for us because there will be a lot of tools, and you have to navigate in this new environment. So I feel like it's changing a way of working, but it's not
the complete shift
changing
into the
us
on
our
and
work.
as we already see, like it always happens whenever the new technology comes in, it always comes as a part of enhancing your own capabilities. So it's never like replacing anybody at the end of the day. So it's always like helping you to become more efficient. What do you feel right now? Like you feel you made the best decision when it comes to walking, or if you do some kind of reflection of your own journey, what are your thoughts on that?
I think our goals, probably not only mine, changing with the time. So at the beginning, when I was young, I wanted to work with finance, actually, and then I started to study finance and economy, and then I realized, so probably I'm not the number person, and I started to work with recruitment, and I found it very exciting. And as a student in economy, I recruited people to financial positions, and I worked at PricewaterhouseCoopers in Moscow. And that was my transition from finance and business to HR to employee branding, and it was very interesting and valuable because I knew both economy and HR recruitment, and that brought me to psychology. I changed to another company. We worked with assessment development centers. It's to assess a personal potential. If you potential in different competences, like how are you as a leader, how are you is what are your team, how are you as a team working with team and so on. So I worked for some time with assessment development centers, business psychologists, and then I moved to Sweden. So having that background, I not switched, but it completed. It was very useful for my work at Stockholm University because I worked with competences also to understand the competences of our participants and to match these competences with companies in Sweden.
Talking on your aspirations, if you just talk about what are your future aspirations, as I understand, you have a lot of transitions in terms of career, and now you're doing something as like something new learning. So what are your future aspirations? What do you want
Yeah,
to do next?
yeah. My
I'm
next
really excited to hear more on this.
exactly. So I didn't stop there
Mm,
with recruitment and competences and
mm,
business psychology.
mm,
I went further
mm,
to software development, to digitalization, and it's actually very useful for me having financial and business background and knowing business psychology in digitalization because all this new technology, even AI, it's a lot about people, how we take these new possibilities, new technology, and how we transform this in our work, how we adapt new technology. And a lot of organizations they say that actually this is a barrier when people do not want to use new technology.
mm,
I don't know. Some people they don't want to go outside their comfort zone. Some,
mm,
and I understand they used to use their software or some other ways, and they are comfortable with this.
mm,
So there are a lot of different ways
mm.
to adapt new technology.
One needs to keep on evolving. And you really talked a very nice point here, mentioning from your own story how you have evolved with the changing times, and that clearly reflects your own inspiration, of your own motivation of learning something new. And since you highlighted this question, I have a next question follow up on this. And I wanted to, if you look back to your younger self, what advice would you like to give to newcomer coming to Sweden in terms of um, like anything like social life, or in terms about learning and development, or in terms about adaptation, like whichever area you can resonate.
Yeah, I can tell you what helped me in my journey in Sweden at the first time because you're new, like being open to new things, curious, asking questions, meeting new people,
Mm,
trying to, yeah, to get new friendships and networking. The other thing which I will not regret is the studying of Swedish language. Actually, I haven't met any people who regret studying Swedish. I have met people who regret not investing time in studying Swedish, but
I
not the other way. And even I know for those who have English as a first language is super difficult, but learning Swedish, anyways, you show other people that you are serious, that you are interested, that you are that you want to stay here for a longer period and know more about people and cultures. And this, I think, make people feel more comfortable or more willingness to invite a new person to their network and share with that person more of themselves in their context.
So you feel language play a big role when it comes to getting adapted to a new
Yeah,
society.
yeah.
Uh,
Even if you work, your everyday work is in English, like curiosity of learning Swedish, probably sometime after work and going to meetups and try this new language or asking about how it is, like new questions about society, being curious. It will help a lot to adapt.
And this also brings me at a point to motivate people
Yeah.
to learn Swedish. And but I also feel the society here is very much, I would say, very good English speaking society. So here we have a good ratio of people who understand English. And I really feel that is also kind of sometimes, a challenge when you
Yeah.
know you can survive being English speaker. Somehow you find your comfort zone, you don't try to break your zone and learn something. But I agree on this point. Like if you learn language, if you learn Swedish, you will get to meet more people, you will get to know more, not just from the top, but get to know more into the core of the system, society, people, culture. So much you learn about while you live here.
Yeah, the goal is not to speak Swedish fluently. The goal is to be curious about the language and
So it's a more
people.
than a language, I feel. It's more than, understanding, building bonds, bridging those cultural gaps. What do you want to say, or what is your own motivation of every day of performing best in your life or doing great on your side? What is your, those statements that keeps on pushing you, motivating you for the future?
I want to tell that like changing career doesn't like going to study again. It doesn't mean to change your career and to start from the beginning, because this is more like adding new competence to
Okay.
your previous career, to your previous competence. So I, in my case, it was adding technical knowledge, technical language to business language and business psychology language. And this brings me to my next goal as a working as a product manager, working with software development, bringing different people from different part of organization together to make one product. And in this, for example, in this role, you are not only or you are not that technical. You solve the problems, like for example, what features to build, what kind of software to build, so it will be valuable for our customers, it will be profitable, and it will be possible to build by developers. So it will not be that expensive, for example, but it still will be very useful for everyone. And in this role, it's good to have all of this previous experience plus technical knowledge. So that's why
So
I
as I
see it
say,
like adding to my previous competencies. And I actually realize that it's very valuable to suddenly so to start study again after, I don't know, 15 years of working, because now you have again motivation to study, or probably even more motivation, because you already have a lot of experience. You can refer to a lot of business situations and ask a lot of interesting questions. Um, so, yeah.
So as you rightly pointed out, Maria, so what you're trying to say here is, if I just make it a smaller version of it, I would say whatever you have, achieved in terms of your experience, as a knowledge by working or by studying, everything was leading up to what you are today, right? So
Yeah.
so everything makes sense when you look back to your journey of studying and aspiration of doing psychology or working on the business psychology when you were at your PwC in your career, or coming down to Sweden and working with the organizations here when you were helping the expats community and immigration immigrants, helping into getting into the job market. Every experience or every learning during the whole process is actually contributing to what you are doing today.
Yeah.
And this is lovely to see everything, at the end of the day, you are have that fulfillment in your mind, in your thoughts, and you feel satisfied with your work in terms of contribution to
Yeah.
your own self, to the society, and as well as to your future self that you're aspiring to be. And this looks like it's a great value that you're gonna bring when you work as a product manager for the future roles. Anything you want to say, as in, your anecdotes or something for the audience, that would be really lovely, Maria, if you can just share.
Yeah, I can share a funny story from Korta Vägen time. Once we participated in political week, um, presenting stories, journeys of our participants in Sweden, and we invited a Swedish comedian, Özz Nujen.
Oh,
Yeah, and he
okay.
was moderated. He moderated our seminar. And after listening to one of our participants, an engineer
Mm.
who managed to do a great career in Sweden after coming here from another country, he was listening to him and then told like, "Oh, your Swedish is even better than Swedish of our Queen Sylvia." And we
Mm.
laughed, everyone, and then
Mm.
I was thinking, yeah, we have immigrants even in royal families, so it's
Mm.
great to
Mm.
be different sometimes.
Mm. And this you have just highlighted, like, anybody can be good at Swedish. It doesn't have
Anyone,
to be.
anybody,
You doesn't
exactly.
have to born here to be speaking good
Yeah,
Swedish. So that's really,
yeah.
a
You
funny
you can
and
bring value to the society.
yes. So it's not just funny. It's actually more of an inspiration I see in the whole story that you shared, Maria. So just winding up today with the podcast, Maria, and thank you so much
Yeah,
coming down to the studio and have a recording with us. I really feel this podcast gives some kind of inspiration to everyone and some kind of knowledge as an awareness. And I really see a lot of value in it. So thank you so much, Maria, and thank you everyone for being with us and listening to the podcast.